Hello and welcome to Vegas October 1 Sounds Hunter Chronicles. In this video, I give you a heads up. I have taken great pains to structure all the videos in the Hunter Chronicles in a consistent way such that it will provide all types of users with the best and quickest access to the information contained therein. So, for example, the first portions of any video will consist of essentially four components, one of which is the introduction and logo. Those are two. And then you'll have, in the first portions, you will have, as you can see here, something called the graphics. And for this entire time, there's no talking, conversing, or anything. It's just images or videos or text overlaid with some background music. And then once all the graphics are done, I provide a very short one or two slide summary that encapsulates the entire major conclusions for the whole video. So, with that said, what's the purpose of doing this? The purpose of doing this is to provide a very short, very quick means of assessing what the video says. If you don't have a half hour to spend, listen to the first few minutes. If you don't have a minute or two, then go to the portion which contains a summary, for which I'll have a video index in the comments of each video, and you'll get a one or two slide summary of the entire major conclusions for the video. So in this short read, well, let's talk about the other portion first. Now, for those who are more detail oriented like myself, I want to know all the guts. I want to know how the conclusions were reached. What are the details of the observations? What are the alternate theories and all that? For that, I provide a much longer second portion to the video, which consists of me, yeah, that's right, me, talking while I'm presenting video and graphics and images and text and all the things I can, tables and charts, all the things I can muster to provide a coherent presentation, hypothesis, observations, and conclusion. And then, as a portion of the long read, and in tribute to my good dear departed friend Hunter UK, I will always include a segment at the end of the video which is nothing more than a memorial to him, but may contain interesting Easter eggs from time to time. And if there is any content other than simply the memorial, then a little piece of the pie will be missing, that is Fini. At the end of my discussion and analysis, if I put Fini, there is no further content. If the Fini is not there, then you can look for Easter eggs amongst the memorial. The Easter eggs do not significantly alter anything that was done in the video prior. They are simply my way of paying tribute to Hunter. All right. In addition to the way that the videos are structured, of course, in the description for each video, I will have an index, a time index, which will allow you to easily position into the video to access each of these portions of the presentation and some of the sub portions. So, for example, I'll have one that starts out with the start. It'll skip the logo, go right to the prologue. I'll have another index for going to the summary. I'll have another index for going to the start of the discussion analysis. Another one for a memorial, perhaps even Fini. And then amongst each of these, the graphics and the long-form discussion, I'll probably break it down into major groups. All right, now, so given, how do you read this if you're a short reader? Well, this graphics presentation is quick and furious. You don't get enough time always to grasp every concept that's presented. So I would suggest that for all readers, they simply let it run for the duration of the graphics portion, and when they've reached the summary, they read the summary and then think about it. Then go back and play the graphics portion if you're just going to read the short version or view the short version, and pause it. That way, you get by not pausing the first viewing, you get the whole feel for what I'm doing. And then by pausing it, you can read some of the details. Because some of the information that I present is quite complex with great amounts of detail, and you'll never be able to get everything on the first pass. All right. About the long read. Well, the long read is what it is. It's my stream of consciousness that's kind of organized, but I talk about everything that was presented in the short read, plus more. And there will be information revealed in the long form discussion and analysis that is not included in the short read, because after all, some of the details just don't make it into the major conclusions. And some of the stuff will actually be foreshadowing or pieces of the next video to come. And I go into great lengths and details, and I try to leave no stone unturned, but I also have to be wary that I don't make these things so long that people won't view them or will lose interest and all that sort of stuff. So I try to limit it to 20 minutes, but oftentimes, the subject matter is that it doesn't feel right if you break it apart into several pieces, so I just go ahead and take a full hour that I need. I try never to go over an hour. All right, the density of material in here is substantially lower than in the graphics, simply because there is a longer period of time, and since I'm talking, images that come by will be, held in view longer. Now, sometimes while I'm talking about one subject, I'll flash through an image of something else that is meant to clarify but not be discussed about, and those images will be held for a shorter period of time. Okay. And the investment in the long read is an investment in your time. I think it's well worth always to listen to it, but that's your choice, and that's why I've structured these videos into 2 parts. All right, so let's take a look then at how the short read and potentially portions of the long read is structured at a greater detail. So here we have how the graphics are presented in the short read. The graphics are basically groups of images and text and maybe even video clips where I start out, if it's a big group, I'll start out with a title to the group saying what the major content is all about. And then typically for each, I'll put in a bunch of slides, and preceding each slide I'll put a textual slide that will kind of summarize or direct you to what you need to look at. And so there are several of those types of groups within the graphics, and almost always, particularly in these long, complicated miniseries, which the first set of videos is, I will include what you need to know before you continue on and where it came from. So, for example, when I'm talking about the panic chunk in video 5, I will include some of the information from prior videos just as a brief refresher. And I will try, I won't always succeed, I will try to video index that so as people can skip it if they want. It's typically very short, and I think that it's useful to listen to this stuff over and over, because after all, repetition is the mother of skill. You get it, wired into your brain, and you become subconsciously competent in the information that's needed to be successful in many of the videos. Because after all, this whole series of videos covering the lock interrogation report, while many of the videos stand on their own, other videos build, augment, or depend on prior videos or other videos, so to speak. And then in this little graphic you can see that there's T's and I's. T stands typically for text, and I typically stands for image. But sometimes there's a video in there. And then, as I said in the prior thing, if you've only can spend 1 minute, you're on a smoke break or something, and you just can't stand not to watch the video, go right to the slide summary, and there you will see the major conclusions for the entire video. All right. So, back up here to the long read. The long read, while more casual and more stream of consciousness type thing, still required considerable effort, research, analysis, graphic presentation, and all that on my part. So it's not, just let's read a novel and take it in casually as we lay back. You're going to have to be able to follow the logic. You're going to have to be able to follow the reasoning and the observations, alternate theories, and perhaps sometimes there's these leaps which don't quite suit the style of the reader. And if that becomes the case, or if you find it getting to be too complex, just put it down, we'll go back, come back, rewind a little bit, and then continue on. Because I feel that every piece of the discussion is important and relevant, and that if you get too far behind the curve, then the latter portions of the long read may become a little bit more obscure. Now that's not to say it's always true, because sometimes I'll jump into a new subject during the long read, and you'll be able to start fresh with kind of a new subject matter without relying entirely upon all that preceded it. All right. Well, I think that's about it. So let's wrap this up and move on to the very first video in the Hunter Chronicles series that deals with the panic attack that Mr. Paddock enjoyed, shall we say, on September 30th at 6:03 a.m.